This is the IPD Plenum for the Porsche Cayman and Boxster 981, and this actually will work with the base 2.7 liter and the 3.4 liter S and GTS. And this is the competition version. It's a very nice part, a huge part, a lot bigger than the other Plenums from IPD. This and the 987.2 have a pretty unique setup. We're looking at the competition version, which means you get an 82 millimeter GT3 throttle body off the 997. Let's turn this. So that's going to be an OEM part that's provided in the kit, and that's going to bolt right up to this competition plenum. You'll reuse a lot of the factory parts on this, a nice silicone Y pipe. This is good for about a max of 18 wheel horsepower improvement, basically in between the 4,500 to redline range. Obviously, as you're moving more air, you're going to make more power, kind of more towards the top of the RPM band. We're going to install this on our Project 981 Cayman, and we're going to validate those dyno numbers. We're also going to have some peak numbers, so we're looking forward to this. We're going to pair it with a AFE high flow air filters, and also headers and an exhaust, also with a cop tune. So we're looking forward to it. Again, you've probably seen the Plenums before, but if you haven't, they have some golf ball dimple style feature set to it, so air will move a little bit faster over those dimples. It comes into a Y. Let me try to move this up a little bit. It'll extend much further than the factory T. So air is guided through here, and it'll move up a lot more efficiently. It's a very nice part. Again, this is the IPD Plenum for the Porsche 981 Cayman and Boxster, and it's available for all trims. We're here in the back of the Cayman with the engine cover off and wanted to show a few tidbits to help you install the IPD Plenum. The factory is going to use these two clamps with bolts on this side closest to the front of the car. You can reverse these clamps if you like. It might be a little easier when you're putting the IPD Plenum on. What we found works great is to lubricate the seals. They're these black rubber seals. You can get a large wrench behind underneath the clamp to pry the bottom of the clamp up. It's great to have two people. I would recommend it if you can. Get somebody to apply pressure to the top, and then there's going to be a Torx bit that you're going to have to drive in, and we'll show a picture here. This is going to show you exactly what the bolt looks like. You're going to have to drive that in, so ideally you're going to need about 3 hands, so that's why a second person would be very helpful. Now you can reverse the clamps and have them a little bit exposed where you have some more clearance. Obviously it's a pretty tight fit, so that we thought would be helpful. Otherwise, it's a pretty straightforward install. The Plenum comes out, the new one goes in, you put your breather lines, your map sensor back in. The throttle body screws right on with 4 bolts. Make sure the clamps are on in the correct orientation. Here's a picture of what that looks like. Really closest to the edge. You don't want to have any type of vacuum leak with the install. So just make sure to take your time. It's a little tedious. It's not, super complicated. Just one of these things you got to pay attention to. Make sure you do it right. When you start up the car, you'll know pretty quickly if there's an issue. But I would recommend as well to leave this engine cover off. Take it for just a really quick drive, or maybe up your driveway, just around the block real quick with the windows down. Make sure everything looks good, and then temporarily you can put your engine cover back on and then put the carpeting over it. It should seal up probably about 99.9% of anything that would come up. I think it actually might be 100%, but I would do that before bolting it fully back down. Make sure everything's in place, then you should be good to go. Sounds awesome. Stay tuned. Definitely subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. The next episode is going to feature the Agency Power 200 cell headers and the Sole Performance valved catback system. So very excited to hear what that's going to sound like, and obviously feel the performance gains of letting a little more air breathe out. It's definitely breathing in right now. It sounds amazing. Hope you really enjoy it. Let us know if you have any questions. Feel free to visit us at flat6motorsports.com. wanted to share a few impressions after we've taken the car for a spin quite extensively. It feels really good. The Plenum seems to improve the throttle response. Definitely kind of just feels like the air just kicks in just a little more effortlessly, I guess. The car definitely feels like it has more purpose now. It pulls strong to redline. Definitely feels from the butt dyno, it feels like it's faster. So really happy with the feel of it. It definitely gives it more of a aggressive, fun and engaging driving feel. We'll do some data logging here to see if it picked up any performance with the Plenum and the throttle body on there. It sounds amazing. It just really adds a visceral experience to driving the car. So very happy with the IPD Plenum. The install, as I mentioned, is a little bit cumbersome. It's not too complicated. It's just one of those things that is going to take you a little bit of time your first time doing it, but otherwise it's pretty straightforward. Again, very happy with the Plenum. Stay tuned. This chart compares the 30 to 80 mile an hour acceleration run that we previously did with the Cobb access port loaded, and now the IPD Plenum with the GT3 throttle body loaded on the car. So you'll notice that, first of all, there's a decent amount of gap in between the two times. Nothing significant, about 1/10 of a second. Did note that at the top of the rev range there, or top of the acceleration pole there, a little bit different shift point, which potentially could have thrown this off a tad bit. 30 to 80 was what we thought would be a good idea, but it's kind of right around that second to third gear shift. So we might, going forward, do like a 30 to 75. You will notice though down low it picked up quite a bit. You're about 1 to 2/10 of a second there, quicker, kind of through that speed as the car's picking up. So you definitely feel the difference in the car. Didn't pick up as much as we thought it would as far as the GPS goes, but also keep in mind that this is the Cobb OTS Stage 1 map that was really calibrated for the stock Plenum. So we think that with additional tuning it could obviously unlock more power. Don't know what it would do on the stock tuning. We didn't want to go through on installing the Cobb and testing it. Everything's working fine now, so I just wanted to leave it alone as we're putting the headers and exhaust on here. But we might go back and try the stock tuning with it if we have some time before we throw the headers and the exhaust on there. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Stay tuned for the next one coming up next week. Thanks.